Hey there, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me here on Content Legends Podcast. I am your host, Jessica. I go by Joss Speaks, as you all know. And today I have an awesome, amazing guest who has been a pickle to try to get on the podcast because he's just so busy. He's just ultimately so busy. He is here with me. If you guys are watching YouTube or listening, he's going to go ahead and introduce himself and tell you everything that he does because he does a lot. So Kenyatta, go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm Kenyatta Griggs, CEO of Hip Hop Motivation. You might have seen me doing a lot of work with Damon Dash on my Hip Hop Motivation YouTube channel. I'm an author. I am a barber by trade, first and foremost. I'm an author, director of a movie called The Secret to Ball and Journey, and a father, and then just a guy that's continuing to be a channel for the Most High to move through. That's it. That's all I can say. Just try to bring forth good information for people that need it.
I love it. So what moved you into, because like you said, you're a barber by trade. So what moved you into motivation and inspiration and all that good stuff? What moved you to do that?
Just being in the barbershop, listening to so many people's complaints, hearing so many different stories, coming across so many different people from the successful to the stressful. I've came across so many people that need information, and including the successful. And, there was a situation that occurred with me the day I started the journey of hip hop motivation. I was shot 6 times after I developed and wrote down the name of me and what I'm going to do. And so it's been more of a spiritual mission for me than anything else. And I'm just, happy that I'm able to produce and bring forth some information for people.
What exactly took place? Were you like in a car? I mean, like, how did this all kind of come about?
Well, what happened was I was on my way. I was at the barbershop that day. It was the day after my birthday, which was June 24th. And I was at my station. It was one of the slowest days I ever had in the shop. And at that time, I was a shop owner. And, I had about 20 people paying me booth rent. Clientele was pretty heavy, working on sets constantly. And it was, interestingly, on a Friday, it was the slowest day I ever had, so I was at my station writing. And I've always been interested in writing and producing some type of project, as far as, maybe some media or some form of like a book or something like that. But I really didn't know how to create a book or actually what it took to write a book. So what I did was I came up with a concept known as Hip Hop Motivation. I wrote down the breakdown of what I was going to do with that company. And my first project that I developed was called Think and Ball Out. And I wrote all this stuff down. Wrote it all down. Think and Ball Out is my first project I did under the Hip Hop Motivation umbrella. And I wrote it down. I got a call from Method Man from Wu-Tang Clan to come and cut his hair at his location. And before I went to cut Method Man, I had stopped by my place where I was living at the time, which is like in the greater downtown LA area, right by, not too far from Staples Center. And before I could even make it inside of the gate, let alone my apartment, a guy came over to me and put a gun in my face. I ducked and started zigzagging, hit him with the gate, started zigzagging, and he was shooting me, hit me 6 times. I laid there with a collapsed lung, barely breathing, critical condition, obviously, and I continued to write once I came to in the hospital, and here we are today.
Wow. Oh my goodness. So you kind of took this podcast episode in a whole nother direction. You do know that. So we're about to get real. We're about to get real right now. So just a little disclaimer here. I reached out to Kenyatta because I'm from Richmond, California. If you guys don't know or do know, it's on the FBI's top most wanted list or whatever of the most deadliest cities in the world, right? Which is right next door to Oakland and the Bay and all that good stuff. So what Kenyatta is explaining is something that I would experience a lot, from relatives, from neighbors, so on and so forth, that near-death experience. I actually, my sibling, my younger brother was killed and murdered on Highway 80 a couple of years ago.
Sorry.
It's But that's kind of why I started doing what I'm doing now. It's because he was so into music. He was so into, you know, motivation and just making everybody happy around him. And I was just like, you know what? I need to do something where, number one, I own my own platform. And then number two, I can bring people that I look up to that are out there doing great work and doing stuff to uplift and help people. How can I do that? So that's kind of why I started this podcast. So for you, I know that had to have a piece of it, but what else was it that kind of kept you going? Because you had to be saying something to yourself other than, you know, trying to stay focused and stay alive, that kind of kept you going.
Right. Well, one of the main things that I've always experienced being that I was like I said, I was a barber by trade, but my real passion and what I enjoyed doing was writing. But being clientele was so heavy, and I was making over like $900 a day cutting hair, and you know, I had my people that rented booths from me, and they were paying me over $150 to $200 a week a piece. I became comfortable to where it got to a point where I stopped writing and I stopped doing what I really enjoyed to do because I was afraid to step out of my comfort zone and go into something else and start something new that I knew was going to take time to build up, you know, just like putting the videos up on YouTube with Dame. You know, it didn't initially start off where we were getting like hundreds of thousands of views and this and that, but it's a process. It takes time like anything else. But one of the things that I learned about myself was that, you know, being I'm a big guy, never been a punk in the streets. But when it came to my goals, what I really wanted to do, I was a little soft about it, a little casual about it, you know. And then I began to punk out when it came to my dreams. And my main dream was being an author, writing, producing a movie, which I did. And right now I'm in bliss because I've actually stepped out of my comfort zone, and I'm still cutting hair, but I stepped out into the comfort zone and went more into the media aspect of what I want to do.
Yeah, I love that. I love the fact that you explain that. And that, you know, it's so funny because you think, oh yeah, you're doing videos with Dame Dash, it would automatically like skyrocket. So I'm glad that you said it took a minute for him to.
A lot of people think that. A lot of people think that that's the way it works, but you know, even with Dame, you know, like most of the time when I'm interviewing Dame anyway, I'm basically sitting there flying the walls down and allowing him to talk about his own journey and what it took to reach the heights that he reached at Rockefeller Records as well as Rockaware Clothing. And, you know, I always found it to be interesting when I would go cut Dame's hair because he was one of those people that he's very unfiltered and he's very open and free with giving away information. And so I would come back to the bar after I would cut his hair and be like, yeah, man, he told me this and that about the business. And this was around the time when him and Jay were still together as far as the company went. And I would tell people, but I couldn't really explain it and break things down the way he.
All right. So Kenyatta, have you always kind of been motivational ever since you were like a little kid? Is that something you've always done? Like what brought that about? How did that happen?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say I've always been into personal development. It started off me being into listening to other people's stories. You know, the first book that I read that was that really put me on my way was the autobiography of Malcolm X. And you know, reading his story and seeing that, you know, he came from the grime and the dirt to ascend to a higher level. That was always interesting to me, you know, and I've always been interested in people's, you know, travels and journey from the darkness into the light. I've always been interested in that. I am, you know, because that's really how everything works. You know, you can't ascend when you're already at the top. You ascend from the and you go up. So I just always been interested in that. And then I combined that with studying natural law principles. And I'm just a student of nature. I pay attention, you know, I just listen, pay attention. I don't cut anyone off when it comes to, you know, if there's something I could possibly learn from that person, whether this person is a gangbanger, a teenager, you know, a toddler thing, just paying attention to how a toddler plays without any fear to an elder. You know, I pay attention. There's someone that's handicapped. You know, I pay attention and I look at things and I try to apply things to myself. So without being narcissistic. You know, I apply things as far as learning for myself and seeing how I can be better and how I can do better, and also teach better and share some good information. But I know that, you know, the process of personal development is one of those things where you can't wake everybody up. You know, it's like, you know, the alarm clock that we all have to go to work. You know, some people don't like to be woke up, you know, and if they don't want to hear that alarm, they're going to hit the snooze button about 30 times before they get up.
That's
and,
right.
you know, the people that are woke and that want the information, who I'm talking to. And whoever that is, you know, whatever race, gender, age, you know, no, there's no bias with hip hop motivation. We're just talking to the people, anyone that's really aware and woke enough to get this information.
I love it. I love it. So naming it hip hop motivation, were you actually going towards the hip hop community? Did you feel like this was something that the hip hop community needed?
Absolutely. Well, hip hop motivation is more of a janitorial service. You know, we come behind all the filth and the crime and the grime that's been put out there.
I love
and what we're doing, you know, putting forth a cleaning crew, you know, without stepping on anyone's toes or pointing at someone and saying you're the problem, you're the reason, because it's not the way it works. You know, I think even that grime has to be there. You know, you can't have dark without light, and you can't have light without the dark. You absolutely need pleasure and pain in this universe. You have to see the stuff. You know, you have to be in balance with everything in order to move forward. You know, so I don't really diss anyone in particular as far as what they say or what they do, but there is a responsibility that goes along with power and information.
For you, was this a because, you know, you don't sound like you did this for money. You really don't.
No, it's not initially, but definitely those that green stuff. The presidents pay bills and buy cameras and takes care of things and puts gas in cars for me to drive up in the hills where they live. You know what I'm saying? And it takes money to do those things. And initially, I would say no, because, you know, I moved on my passion and I already have a trade under my belt. So it's a little different for me because I didn't jump into it to hold back anything so people can go in their wallets or their purses. I did a lot of studying at my station. I'm an avid reader. My library is impressive. You know, I read, I study, but I don't study and read to be arrogant among people. You know, a lot of people with the information they have, they use that as a way to make themselves better than someone. And, you know, to me, arrogance is ignorance. You know, it's total ignorance. And so if I learn something, I feel that I have a duty to share with people that want to hear. You know, but there again, everybody's not willing to be woke, you know, or willing to get this information. You know, a lot of times, you know, people in personal development or going in the field of, you know, helping people, you're waking up a sleeping bear, and it can really cause problems. You know, people don't want to hear it. They can be gruff about it. They don't want to hear that something that they're doing is not in balance with, you know, natural law. They're going against natural law.
Exactly.
You know, they don't want to hear that. You know, I've had clients that stopped coming to me because I would have a conversation with them about something as simple maybe as, you know, cheating on their girlfriend and having another woman and not telling your woman, because I've been there before as a man too. But I learned, you know, to not break the law, because there is a natural law that all of us are up under. And, you know, as long as we continue to break these natural laws with our fellow women, you know, the relationships between us become ill and crazy. And crazy, a lot more chaos is going to ensue.
Oh,
you know?
Wow. And you said a lot in that phrase right there. And for your arena and what you kind of deal in your clientele, I'm sure that's a pretty big issue to bring up. So how do you slip that in?
I don't bring it up in a way that's like, you know, that where I'm, you know, finger pointing or anything like that, because, you know, you can't really lead someone out of somewhere that you haven't been. I've been there, you know. You know, at this point, from what I understand now, I'm not ashamed of anything, but I definitely am ashamed of things that the ignorance that I had when I was performing those acts and causing harm to people by not giving them the right to make a decision if they wanted to be a part of the rotation I had going on. You know, and that's it's like, you have to give someone the right. Everyone has the right, you have rights of property rights. You're the sovereign of your being. Jessica is the sovereign of Jessica. Yeah. The minority is you. So you have to look at it like that. No one has the right to take anything from you or cause harm to you. And all forms of harm under natural law is called a transgression. And a transgression is any act that breaks the law. Wow.
Kenyatta, I'm seeing a book for women in your future. I am seeing a
it's good. Yeah, it's a good chance because I'm working on another project right now, and I've been thinking about that. It's interesting you said that. That's been like the relationship things. I see a lot of people like the relationship stuff. They like
let me talk to you. Let's talk after this, but yes. Because
I'm still learning. The more you know is the more you don't know. But I'm a little more aware, and I have a light. My light is shining right now when it comes to just interacting with people and forming better and having a better relationship.
Exactly.
All around.
Exactly. And the biggest piece is, and I'm just going to be really frank, Black women, especially, feel as though
absolutely
we are not loved, we're not cared for unless someone is doing us wrong, doing us straight dirty. That's, let's just keep it real.
That's a form of insanity that has to be taken care of quick.
Definitely.
But that insanity doesn't come from the person causing the harm. It comes from the person accepting the harm.
Exactly.
So the person that's accepting the harm, you have to look at yourself. But here again, that's waking up a sleeping bear that a lot of people are not willing to look at, and because what you have to do is you have to go to the formative years of your life.
Yeah.
The formative years are the most years of everyone's lives. Exactly. Childhood. If you don't know what the formative years are, just like the computer's processing is made by the foundation of what? The format. The computer format is what sets everything up. Yes. So you can see things on the screen. So the formative years in a human being's life is foundation of what you see on the screen of life and how you accept things, how you go through things, how you handle problems, where you're caregivers with people that handle problems or that the problems handle them. Did they panic in the face of everything, or were there people that just took a deep breath and took it on head on, And so these are things that are private conversations that people have to have with themselves. So while a lot of people go to, talk to a psychiatrist, and try to bring these things out, because people overlook the fact that we all have a format and we roll new software of information to ourselves to create a better understanding and a better life for ourselves. We don't have to keep running those same programs that our parents gave us back in the day. We don't have to keep running that. We can get rid of some things. If your parent was an alcoholic, that doesn't mean you have to be an alcoholic.
Exactly.
You can upload new software in your life. You can download some new software. Exactly. And the best way to download things is to get into reading, listening to audiobooks, watching things that inspire you, talking to people, going to some seminars, or for some people they like to go to the church. But I really feel like one of the most important things anyone can do is read. As long as you can read, you don't really have to go anywhere. Just read. Read and build your own understanding of things. That's it. Research is key.
Wow. Well, Kenyatta, why do I feel like you were probably like the kid on the play yard that would go up to all the women and go, "Girl, you know what? You don't need him. You need to love yourself. You're beautiful."
No, back then, back then, I was the guy that was, I was trying to get everything I could from anyone. So I was like, for real, I wasn't even nowhere near respecting. No, I was a player. What?
Wow. Wow.
Serious.
Suck my dream. Suck my dream. So while we're talking about while we're talking about inspirational content and all that good stuff, motivational hip hop, you kind of gave us the backstory of how that actually came to be. And we talked a little bit of offline, but tell me, because like I said this offline, I'm going to say it here as well. You were kind of the person that brought Dame Dash into the online space, right? And it wasn't really on purpose, really, right? It was just more just wanting to document.
No, it wasn't on purpose. What happened was he was on my first project called Think and Ball Out. He gave me a 20-minute interview that I chopped down into 17 minutes called The Secret to Balling. Interesting enough, that would be as well as my audio book. And I talked to him about just, what he went through building Rockefeller, having so many different artists, taking Kevin Hart off stage and putting him in his first movie, that whole process. And it was a great interview and people loved it. So when Dame moved back to LA, I told him that, I wanted to get with him and how do you feel about creating a book? And he was like, bet, let's do it. So I would go through, cut him up, and film him while I was cutting his hair, or film him just get there and get some sound bites so I could add to the book.
Yeah.
And what happened was I started watching this footage with myself and Carolyn and Michelle, and we were like, wow, we should create a YouTube channel and just put some stuff up. Yeah. And I wasn't really doing it for that because I was collecting information for the Culture Vultures book.
Gotcha.
And so, because there's a lot more interviews. So all those interviews, you see how they're cut down like 5-10 minutes here and there. But there's hours and hours we never even put out.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the Culture Vultures book. So It's like, that's really what it was. And then, I asked him, I was like, do you mind if we put it up? He's like, go ahead, I don't care. And so we started throwing it up without understanding monetization, without understanding how this worked. There was a time we were putting these videos up and we weren't even monetizing them. And then when I talked to a guy about tangible monetization, he was saying Dame and I were probably clearing at one time probably like $30,000 a month. Yeah, consecutively. You know what I'm saying? Because this is how popular the videos got, and people from all over the world. We had people over in London hitting us up. And then I did a segment where, I would have people asking questions live on the air. And, it was kind of like, it kind of changed the game, I would say, for all of us, not just for Dame,
So wait a minute, Kenyatta, you actually bumped into online marketing?
I bumped into it. It's kind of, I'm a little Mr. Magoo when it comes to things sometimes. Sometimes things have to fall in my lap or I have to bump my head and figure it out. But yeah, I didn't know too much about it. It's like, I would say like most Black people with finances, I didn't know much about it, but, I was willing to learn. So, that's why it was great because, my team, they helped me a lot, from doing their own research. Carolyn, she went to film school, and her sister Michelle, she handled the audio work. She had to learn how to be proficient in audio, and then she's also the star of the Secret to Balling movie. She plays Amina Davis in the movie. Yeah, so we'll see that soon. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more. Well, let me piggyback on that because I know a lot of my audience wants to hear about this process that you went through, which you didn't even know you were doing. So number one, you were repurposing content. You were doing splitting. You were bunking content. You were doing all of these different things that a lot of our digital marketers know about and do, and you had no idea you were doing it. So how did you?
No idea.
And then you split the audio and then did the book off the audio. This is like golden nuggets that I charge clients money for that you were just doing.
It's definitely a science to it. And it started with, the first person that really kind of gave me the game on how to really put together a book was the motivational speaker, Les Brown, who was a great friend of mine for many years. And he told me how to do it, and we moved on it. I moved on it. And so that's really what it takes. It's just, you have an idea to do something. Don't analyze it too much, because a lot of times what happens too, we get paralysis of analysis. And so we sit back and just trying to figure out how to be great initially doing something. But sometimes you got to jump. Sometimes you got to go ahead and take the first step. You can't always think that the first time out is going to be the best. Because when I look at some of the old videos we did, it's interesting because the other day well, actually yesterday, Redman, good friend of mine, he came through, and we were watching some of the old videos, the one with him.
Yeah.
And I was laughing at it because it was like, man, look at the music we was using. The music was too loud. It was, the music at the end was annoying. The beginning, and it's different things, and how the color correction wasn't there. And, it's just, the process is like, are you willing? Are you willing to take the criticism? Are you willing to not care about what people think? Once you get in that space, the world is yours. There's nothing that can stop a man or woman that doesn't care about what other people think. It's just the funniest thing. You have to almost stop caring what people think or how to do a thing. And you say, you know what, I'm going to just try it. I'm going to take action, and I'm going to continue to do it until I get it. That's what hip-hop motivation is. And that's what it's interesting that it's called hip-hop motivation, because the music itself was built on the fact that there were people in the inner cities that they took the music classes out of the schools, music training, playing flutes and violins, and our people came up with a new sound from the streets, and we had to figure out how to get our creative itch off to where we can rhyme over these break beats and, Cool Herc in the park and doing this and that. And so, hip hop being a culture, this is another piece of the culture, and so the name of the company is The Lane, and it's the company. So there's no better name to name this, because I love hip hop. Hip hop is still my favorite music. I like it all too. I like it grimy. I like it positive. I like all of it, because I understand,
What is your thoughts about how your content is changing the world? What do you think about that? How do you feel about that?
That's a great question. Thank you for that question. My content, the content that we produce, changing the world. Having people walk up to me and tell me that they love the videos, because if I'm wearing a hip hop motivation shirt, usually people come up to me, oh man, I love your videos with Dame and this and that, and it really helped me. And people have actually shown me the help. There's people out here that have taken their business to different heights, and it feels good. It's like, to me, there's no better feeling than being recognized for your work. There's no greater feeling than that, but I don't get puffed up by it, because I know that there's more work to be done. I know that there's more information that needs to get out there for people. I know that, for myself, I'm still a work in progress as a human being, becoming a better person, a better man, a better father, a better lover, whatever you want to call it. I just feel that I have to, constantly not only just giving away information, but actually applying it for myself, and then coming back around and saying, this is what worked for me. Because that's all I can do. I can only tell you from my own experience, just like you can. You can only tell me from your experience of doing something, because there's no one way of doing anything. The way Dane did it, that worked for him. That doesn't necessarily mean it will work for you, but it could work for you, and so it's just the same. It's just, it's like in natural law, they have a law called the law of polarity, and it says that all truths are but half truths. There's no one way of doing anything. There's no absolute of anything. It's just a process. It's the way you do it, the way you choose to do it, or go about doing things. So that's it. It's just a good feeling. It's such a good feeling, but I don't get puffed up by it, because I know that, to whom much is given, much is required. As Kelly Rowland, that's the scripture, but Kelly Rowland said that in The Secret of Ball and Journey, the movie, and that stuck with me. I was like, damn, to whom much is given, much is required. So I know that I constantly have to be studying and getting information, and just being a channel to bring forth good information. And I asked for that when I was laying there bleeding and not able to breathe, when I was laying on the ground, going through that chaos, not knowing if I'm gonna live or die. It was at that time that I just said, you know what, I turn it over, allow me to be a channel for whatever you want to use me for, just to give me another chance to see my babies again, to hug my mother again, to speak to my friends one more time, and for however long that's going to be, I'm with it, because I felt like that day that I got shot, I actually died and came back. It was pretty bad, you know what I'm saying? But, it just made me get off. It made me get off my ASS. I'm just keep it real with you. It made me stop procrastinating as much. It made me look at things a little different. You know, giving people their flowers while they're living. You know, telling them how much I care about them instead of holding back because I don't want them to get puffed up. I don't want them to get the big head or all that foolishness. Because in a snap, my life was almost taken from me. In a snap of a finger, my life was almost taken from me. And so if you look at that, you don't want to put things off that you can do today. You know, if you want to write that book, go buy you a notepad from the liquor store, wherever you get a notepad from. If you don't have no money, put together some pennies, you know, borrow $1, go get you a notepad.
Go to the dollar store. Dollar stores there.
Yeah, what you gotta do it. You know, if you want to start rapping, you know, start rhyming. You know what I'm saying? Just do it. You know, don't put things off and keep saying, well, I'm gonna do it. I'll do it one day. I'll do it one. No, do it today, because one day may not come. I was looking at no more tomorrows. I was laying on the concrete, laying there, not knowing if I was gonna live or die. And when I came out of that space, it put a fire up under me that no one can put out, because I just work different. I work different, you know, writing, studying, making sure I'm, you know, every day producing and just doing some different things, you know, because what is this life if you don't really produce anything? Like, what's the purpose? Like, you just here to be breathing and walking around buying some stuff? No, it's not just about that. That's a part of it too. You know, you know, you're gonna buy some things, you're gonna want some money, you're gonna want some different things, but it should be a little higher than that. You know, you want to help people in the process. Bring people over into the light and understand that, you know, they have the power, they have the control. You know, divinity is within, not without. When I finish a project, like when I'm writing one of my chapters, and I get an opportunity to read it to one of my loved ones or somebody that I care about, friend or whoever, and they, you know, because I don't read my work unless I feel like in my heart it's great and it's at that point. But that's the greatest joy for me, is just to create. When I finish a chapter, I feel it's almost like it's time to pop bottles, and I don't even drink. You know what I'm saying? I'll be ready to pop bottles when I celebrate all accomplishments. I celebrate every step. I celebrate.
Yeah.
So that would be my greatest joy, to create.
Wow, I love that.
When I finish the Secret of Ball and Journey audiobook, which is available right now, when I finish that, oh man, that was such a that was a beautiful thing.
So
just thinking about it, is just a beautiful feeling, because I finished, and it's not a project that can ever be dated, because nothing having to do with something real can ever be dated. Natural law will never be dated. You know what I'm saying? The law of gravity will never get dated. It's never producing something that can be here. It's going to outlive me forever. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be around forever. I love it. Why not? I like the challenge, you know, when I have a blank notebook or a blank screen and I have to come with an idea and I feel inspired. I heard something that inspired me to write a chapter. That's my greatest joy. That's my greatest joy.
We have that in common, because I love that challenge as well. And I can't tell, I love it when my family and my relatives see, it does, but it feels good. It's not the arrogant puff. It's not the arrogant, like, oh yeah, look at me. It's more of a.
It's not that. It's just like I get excited. I get excited with the fact that, you know, it's like another opportunity to do something better than the last thing I did.
Exactly.
You know, it's like I'm in competition with myself. I'm in competition with the last project I did. You know, so when you can't compete with yourself, there's always going to be room for creation. You know, but when you compete with others, I don't know. That seems to me that kind of pulls you off your path sometimes. But you know, there's a place for that. But you know, get in competition with yourself. Always be better than you were yesterday. You know, try to strive for that. You know, and then creativity is easy at that point.
I love it. So we've come to the end of our time. So thank you so much for coming on. Tell the people where they can find, not like you're a secret, anything. I'm sure they can find you, but tell everyone websites, all that good stuff.
Well, you can find me right now. You can go to the Hip Hop Motivation YouTube page and watch those videos we put up weekly. You can also hit me up on Instagram at hip_hop_motivator. I'm always, I check my messages throughout, drop me a few lines, shout me out, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm always, if I have time, I always respond, and if I don't have time, I'll get back to you. Trust me, that you can hit us up. The email address where you can hit us is at ballininfo, BALLIN info@gmail.com. I'm also on Facebook at Kenyatta Kari. I'm more on Instagram than Facebook around these times, but I always post up on Facebook as well if I put something up on Instagram. So that's how you can reach me. This is Kenyatta. That's it.